Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hello, my name is Lindsay. Please do hit that subscribe button down below if you want to see more videos from me, and do hit that thumbs up button if you enjoyed this video. Today we are going to be talking about a topic that you guys have asked me to talk about so much. I didn't really know how to go about this video for some reason, but today we're going to be talking about piercings that won't heal slash hypertrophic scars, keloid bumps. We're going to be talking about those and kind of how to help those, how to prevent those from happening, how to prevent infections from happening, all the stuff that makes piercings hard to heal, or if you think you have an infection, that kind of stuff. We're going to be talking about that. So I feel like most people that have more than one piercing have probably run into some problems when healing piercings. There are so many different factors that can affect your piercing's healing process, and so many factors that are within your control to make sure that your piercings do well. Considering how many piercings I have only run into probably about 2 or 3 piercings that I've really had some problems with, mostly being on the ears, as cartilage is pretty hard to heal for most people. We'll show you guys which piercings I've had problems with really quick, and then we'll get into all the information of what you can do if you have these or how to prevent them. The flat piercing was right here. It was just a bar right through my ear right here, and that one, it looked like it was infected, but it was not infected. It was just very, very irritated for a very long time, and that was because I figured out after having it for months that it was right next to a blood vessel, a little vein or something like that, that was preventing it from healing because it kept rubbing on that little vessel and kept irritating my ear. So it wasn't really anything I did, it was just the placement of the piercing that was not good, and you should always keep that in mind. Certain places do not do well on certain people's bodies, and not every piercing is going to heal in every place. And so keep that in mind when getting a piercing or thinking about getting a piercing or have a piercing that's not healing. Always keep that in mind. It could just be the placement of that piercing. You could literally move it over 1/8 of an inch and it'd be fine. So just keep that in mind. And then the other one I had was my forward helix, which was right here. I don't know if you can see the scar, but it was a little tiny guy. It was another little disc pack that went right through my ear. And that one did not heal because I kept going like this and hitting it. So I took that one out. That one got pretty swollen, and when I kind of noticed it wasn't doing very well, I just took it out because I just didn't want to deal with it. And that one was very painful a lot of the time, and I just was kind of over it, so I took it out. That's everything. I also have had certain piercings I already have had a hard time healing, but that's just because of maybe the spot or I was sleeping on it, and those have eventually healed over time. So yeah. So the very first thing to consider if you do have any problems with your piercing, or you maybe want to prevent any problems from happening, is what you are getting pierced with. Make sure it is with a hollow needle in a very sterile shop that you go to. Whoever your piercer is, make sure that they are good, that they're licensed, and they're a very clean establishment, have good reviews, all that good stuff. Make sure you're going to a good place, because there are a lot of bad studios that you don't want to go to, and that can definitely affect your piercing heals if it's in the right spot with the wrong jewelry, all that jazz. Make sure that it is, a good reputable place that you're getting pierced, and with a needle, not to your gun. If you don't know the dangers of piercing guns, just look it up on YouTube and you will find out that they're very, very bad and very unsanitary. Yes, piercings can heal just fine with guns, but a lot of the time people do have issues, including me. I had my second holes pierced with guns, and they still have issues to this day, so please avoid guns at all costs and just go to a good piercer. The second thing to consider is the jewelry that you put in. Make sure it is the right type of jewelry. Make sure you are not getting pierced with hoops if that is avoidable. I know certain piercings do have to be pierced with hoops, but as far as nose piercings and cartilage piercings, eyebrow, that kind of stuff, make sure that you're getting pierced with a curved bar or a disc back stud, because those are going to prevent any keloids from happening, the little bumps, because those bumps are from irritation from movement typically. So make sure that you are getting pierced with a stud and not a hoop, because a lot of the times hoops cause that, and people are like, why does my piercing have a little bump next to it? Well, probably because you got it pierced with a hoop. That does not mean that if you get pierced with a hoop that you will get one. That doesn't mean that. You can get pierced with a hoop and it's just fine. But for a lot of people, typically most bodies just like less movement with a new fresh wound, so make sure you're getting something that is not too long but long enough for swelling and has not a lot of movement to it, so curved bars or straight disc backs is best. Also, the type of jewelry, the quality of the metal, make sure it is a high-grade surgical steel or titanium. Titanium is best if you can get it. People who have sensitivities to metals are usually fine with titanium. Right up there with gold. Like either gold or titanium are the best to get pierced with, but surgical steel is fine. That's what I have in all my piercings. Surgical steel is just fine, or stainless steel. It's pretty much the same thing. So the second thing to consider if your piercing is not healing or you do have a bump on it, that you are not touching your piercing. That is one of the worst things you could do, and I know so many people that do this, and I'm like, what is wrong with you? Okay, when you get a wound and it is open, you don't go sticking your dirty fingers in it, do ya? So don't do that with your piercings. Just leave them alone. They do so much better if you just leave them be. Don't let anything touch them. Make sure they're clean all the time. Make sure you're showering, because if you are not a hygienic person, you're most likely going to get an infection. So please make sure that you are showering consistently and cleaning your piercing, because just don't touch your piercing with dirty hands, please. That's like the worst thing you could do. Make sure you're not doing any activities that could irritate your piercing. Don't go swimming in a lake or a river or a chlorinated pool after you get a fresh piercing. That's going to cause either an infection or irritation, so just don't do things where you're getting things on the piercing that's going to irritate it, or you're bumping it or anything like that. Sweat is not good for piercings. Just let the piercing just heal by itself without aggravating it. Also, if you do get a little keloid bump, make sure that it's not from in new jewelry too soon. I know a lot of people are very impatient and they get pierced with like the standard little jewelry that comes with it, and they're like, oh, I want to change it to something else, and they change it within a few days or a few weeks from getting their piercing done, and it's too soon. And they change it to a hoop, or they change it to something fancy, and it's either low-grade metal or it is a hoop or something that moves and can cause irritation, and they'll end up getting bumps from that. So make sure that you're not changing your piercing too soon. It will irritate it. I've seen this so many times. Please don't do that. Just wait at least like, you know, a few months for your piercing to be completely healed, depending on the piercing, of course. Like, you know, certain piercings heal a lot faster than other ones, but make sure that your piercing is completely healed and it's not red, it's not crusty, it's not within the healing process. And if you have trouble changing it, make sure you go to a piercer to change it too, because they tend to do a lot better and cause less irritation when changing jewelry. So unless you're able to do it yourself, then totally go for it, but make sure you're changing it with clean hands and when your piercing is completely healed. Also note that if you do get a keloid bump next to your piercing, that does not mean that it's infected. A lot of the cases, it's not an infection. Ask me, like, I have an infection on this, and they'll show me a picture of it, and honestly, it looks completely fine. You will know when you have an infection because it will be leaking, it will look disgusting, and it will be hot to the touch, and it'll be very, very swollen, and you will know if it's infected. Irritation is very different than an infection and should be treated completely separately. If you don't know the difference between, like, you know, piercing irritation, keloid bumps, and infection, go to your piercer and ask them to look at it for you and see what they think is wrong with it, because a lot of times people don't know the difference between all the different problems that can occur with piercings, and they just assume it's infected when I'd say probably like 80% of the time it's not infected, it's just irritated. So make sure that you don't think it's infected. Don't go to the doctor if you have a little bit of swelling or a little keloid bump. Unless it's infected and you know it's infected, just don't assume, because usually it's not. A lot of people with the keloid bumps, which are the little bumps, usually they happen on the nose or the ears. Usually in tough cartilage areas is when you'll get keloids. Those can be treated very easily and they're nothing serious. They can get serious, but if you catch them at a good time when they're kind of just starting out, or they're just like a pretty small bump, it's really nothing to worry about. You can get rid of them pretty easily. I've had them on quite a few piercings and you would never know because they healed pretty well. So a lot of people with the keloid bumps, they will either use tea tree oil or they'll use the sea salt water rinse that you usually use for when you clean your piercings after you get them done. So aspirin paste you can use, which helps a lot because it brings down the inflammation of that bump, and so I typically would say the aspirin or the tea tree oil works best, but everybody has their different ways. Make sure you do your own research and see what would work best for you. Honestly, I haven't done any of that when I've had keloid bumps. I have just let them go away on their own. I just left them alone and they just went away over time. Usually within like a month to 2 months, they'll typically just go away. If they're not going away, it could be, like I said, either the quality of your jewelry or the type of jewelry that you have in. So as long as you have a high grade jewelry and the right type of jewelry that you have in it, make sure those are correct for the healing process. Just let mine kind of go away on their own. But you can definitely try the tea tree oil or the aspirin paste or any of the other remedies that a piercer would recommend to you. I would definitely go to your piercer first and see what they recommend, and then if that doesn't work, go to the internet. Make sure you're not putting anything on it like alcohol or anything like that, because that's never good for piercings. Never do anything like that. Go ask your piercer first because they definitely know the best out of everyone. I can't remember which daith I had trouble with. I think it was this one. But I got my daith piercings relatively close to each other. One of them healed very fast and completely fine, and then the other one was pretty swollen and had keloids on both sides of it. And it was pretty irritated for quite a few months, but I just left it alone. I didn't do anything with it. I didn't touch it. I just left it be, and now it is completely fine. And lastly, if you have had a piercing in the same spot over and over and it is still not healing, or it is rejecting, your body probably just doesn't want to be pierced there. Navel's pierced, I have my top, bottom, and then the 2 sides. I had to take the 2 sides out because they just were not healing whatsoever. There was too much movement in that area. I think that was what it was. I don't really know for sure, but they just would not heal. I had them for over a year, I think. Oh, maybe even more. I don't know. I had them for a very long time, and I just had to take them out because they were just always irritated and always painful, and I was like, this is it. I'm just taking them out and letting them heal up. So yeah, some people's bodies do not like to be pierced in certain areas. There are some people who can't even get piercings because their bodies don't like them whatsoever, no matter where they are. So keep that in mind. Not everybody can have every piercing, so definitely keep that in mind when you are having trouble with your piercing as well. I hope this video helped some of you. I'm sure I haven't answered everybody's questions about every problem. If you do still have more questions, feel free to leave it in the comments down below and I'll try to get to it. Also, if you have questions, always go to a professional piercer first. That is who has the most knowledge about what you should do. Yeah, but if you do have any questions for me, I would be happy to answer them in the comments down below. Hit that subscribe button if you want to see more videos from me, the little red subscribe button. I would love to have you guys part of my family here on YouTube. And hit that thumbs up button if you guys enjoyed this video. And if you want notifications when I post a video every time, hit the bell button right next to the subscribe button, because not everybody who subscribes gets notifications anymore. Definitely subscribe if you want to see more of my face, and like this video if you want more piercing videos, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys!